This is Final Fantasy VII Remake Condensed. Before we begin, it's worth noting that the story is more catered towards returning fans of the original. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is not just a HD retelling of the original game, it's somewhat of a sequel too. The original and the remake are two separate timelines. It's still the same story, kinda, but major events from the original game might not happen the same way, and this is just the first game in the remake trilogy. Anyway, let's get started. Our story starts in Midgar. Midgar is the capital city and power base of the Shinra Electric Power Company, a mega corporation that produces energy by tapping into the planet's lifestream. The lifestream is the essence of all life on the planet, so Shinra is essentially killing the planet just to fuel their profits. An eco-terrorist group called Avalanche knows about the damage Shinra is doing to the planet, and they're ready to fight back. Avalanche hires a mercenary, Cloud Strife, our main character, to aid them in their mission to bomb a Mako reactor. Cloud is a soldier, an elite Mako-infused fighter who used to work for Shinra. Alongside Cloud are Barret, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, core members of Avalanche. The Avalanche crew, especially Barret, is passionate about their work in saving the planet, but Cloud couldn't care less. He's just there for his paycheck. Cloud, Barret, and Jesse head into the reactor core to place a bomb. When the bomb detonates, President Shinra gives the order to self-destruct the reactor core, causing major damage to the surrounding area. Thinking she miscalculated, Jesse feels responsible for the massive explosion, unaware that Shinra set off a self-destruct to make things worse. The Avalanche team starts to feel really guilty when they see how much damage the reactor's destruction has caused. The team splits up, agreeing to meet on a train bound for the slums. Before leaving, Jesse gives Cloud a healing materia to thank him for saving her earlier. While walking through the town, Cloud has a hallucination of Sephiroth, a legendary soldier who was believed to be dead. More specifically, Cloud remembered killing Sephiroth himself.
Run, Cloud. Run away. You have to leave. You have to live.
Anyhow, he snaps out of it and he continues onward. Cloud spots a girl getting attacked by invisible entities, and when he gets near her, his presence somehow chases the entities away. The girl gives Cloud a flower and attempts to be friendly with him, but he is cold as usual. The entities, which I'll refer to as whispers from now on, show up again, now fully visible to Cloud. Strangely, the Shinra soldiers that show up to apprehend Cloud don't notice the whispers. The flower girl doesn't want to deal with any of this, so she takes off. Cloud fights through waves of soldiers until he reaches the railway bridge, where he jumps onto a speeding train. Cloud reunites with the crew, and they ride the train back to the Sector 7 slums. Cloud and Barret head to a bar/restaurant named Seventh Heaven, where they meet up with Cloud's childhood friend, Tifa.
Daddy, you're home!
That's right, Angel, I
Welcome
am.
back.
Have you been a good girl?
How sweet. When did you get so thoughtful?
Barret briefly chats with his adoptive daughter, Marlene, before taking her to bed. It was Tifa who recommended Cloud to be a mercenary for Avalanche. Tifa takes Cloud to an apartment where he can sleep for the night. She gives Cloud a partial payment for the mission, promising that he will receive the rest of his payments the next day. Cloud goes to sleep and wakes up to the sounds of moaning next door. He checks the room and sees Sephiroth again. Just as Cloud is about to swing his sword, Tifa stops him, and it's shown that Cloud almost attacked a random cloaked man. The next morning, Tifa shows Cloud around town, introducing some side jobs offered by the locals. After dealing with a guy that was potentially going to leak information about Avalanche, Cloud and Tifa return to the bar, where the Avalanche team has a private meeting about their next mission. Once the meeting is over, Barret gives Cloud the rest of his payment and says that they will continue without Cloud's help. Jesse meets with Cloud back at his apartment, and she asks him to accompany her to the Sector 7 plate for a secret mission. Biggs and Wedge had a hunch that Jesse was up to something, and they decide to tag along. On the way, Jesse explains to Cloud that she thinks that the blasting agent in her bomb was too strong, so she wants to steal a weaker blasting agent from a Shinra warehouse. As they're zooming through the highway on motorcycles, a crazy soldier named Roche challenges Cloud to a duel. After having enough fun, Roche dips out. Cloud and his team arrive at the Sector 7 employee housing district where they visit Jesse's home. While Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge chat with Jesse's mom, Cloud sneaks in through the back where he sees Jesse's dad, who's comatose due to Mako poisoning. Per Jesse's request, Cloud takes her dad's ID card so that they can access the Shinra warehouse. After they're done with their business, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge leave the house and join Cloud outside. The plan is to make a ruckus at the Shinra warehouse plaza while Jesse slips in and steals the blasting agent. So Cloud walks into the plaza and starts a fight, with Biggs and Wedge acting as support. In the middle of the chaos, Roche shows up again, challenging Cloud to a one-on-one duel. Roche gets thoroughly beaten up, but he's a good sport about it, and he wrecks some Shinra mechs on his way out. A couple Avalanche soldiers from another cell come to the rescue, giving Cloud and his team a chance to flee. Everyone's relatively unscathed, except for Wedge, who sustained a minor butt injury. They return to the slums, and Cloud stops by Jesse's place, where she gives him his payment and asks him out on a date. Cloud, being Cloud, doesn't make any promises. Cloud heads back to the apartment and has a short conversation with Tifa before going to sleep. The next day, Cloud goes outside and sees the Whispers flying all over the place. The Avalanche crew does their best to fight them off, but Jessie gets her leg injured in the skirmish, and as if on cue, the Whispers disappear. With Jessie out of commission, Barrett hires Cloud again for their next mission. Barrett tells Wedge to stay behind to look after Jessie and Marlene. The next bombing mission is left to just Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett. During the train ride, on their way to the Sector 5 Mako reactor, they get caught by the security system, forcing them to jump off and continue on foot. Meanwhile, Heidegger, the head of Shinra's military, is monitoring their every move. When they get to the reactor and plant the bomb, Heidegger appears via hologram and he reveals that they're being broadcast to the public. Now everyone sees Avalanche as a public enemy, while Shinra plays the hero. On their way to escape, President Shinra himself pops in to antagonize the team.
Oh, the eyes of one who has bathed in Mako. Accelerated cellular degradation being the most common cause of death by far. This is classified, of course, but every soldier knows the truth.
Heidegger shows up afterwards and shows that the bomb that was planted earlier is now under his control. A giant war machine gets deployed to take on our three heroes. They succeed in destroying the mech, but Cloud falls from the walkway, while Barrett and Tifa are forced to retreat. Cloud wakes up on a bed of flowers inside an old church where he meets the flower girl again.
You're...
Aerith. It's Aerith. And you are?
Cloud.
Turns out that Aerith is being targeted for capture by the Turks, Shinra's Black Ops division. Reno, the first Turk we meet, provokes Cloud, clearly wanting a fight. Cloud gets the upper hand, and right as he's about to finish off Reno, the Whispers show up to stop him. Strangely, the Whispers don't attack Cloud and Aerith this time, they instead guide them away to safety. Aerith takes Cloud to the Sector 5 slums, and she checks in on the kids at the orphanage she volunteers at. The two of them head to Aerith's house, where Cloud meets Aerith's mom, Elmira. Aerith drags Cloud along to pick flowers and take them to the orphanage. A kid mentions a creepy robed man with a number tattooed on his arm. When they find the robed man, Cloud sees Sephiroth again for a brief moment. On the way back to Aerith's house, they run into Rude, another Turk.
Haven't seen him before. He your new boy toy?
He's my bodyguard, if you must know.
Rude is cool enough to fight without weapons, and he's cool enough to bring back up sunglasses, but he's not cool enough to beat Cloud. Rude retreats after his defeat, leaving Cloud and Aerith to head back to the house. When Aerith goes upstairs, Elmira tells Cloud to leave that night, afraid that Aerith might get herself into trouble. Cloud agrees and slips out later that night, only to run into Aerith along the way. Aerith insists on traveling with Cloud to Sector 7, and he just goes along with it. When they reach the gate to Sector 7, they take a small break at a playground. Aerith mentions that her first love was a first-class soldier, just like Cloud. The moment Aerith says the name of her first love, Cloud's mind goes blank. The guy Aerith is talking about is Zach Fair. He was Cloud's bestie back then, and he's supposed to be dead. Supposed to be. Anyway, Cloud and Aerith spot Tifa being taken somewhere in a carriage. She's on her way to meet Don Corneo, a dangerous crime lord. Knowing full well what kind of guy Don Corneo is, Aerith urges Cloud to go after Tifa. And so they enter Wall Market, a seedy entertainment hub that's basically a red light district. They find out that Don Corneo is looking for a bride, and Tifa was special enough to be chosen as a candidate. At the entrance of Corneo's mansion, Leslie, one of the lead henchmen, says that they will have to get endorsed by the trio in order to get an audience with Don Corneo. The trio consists of Chocobo Sam, Madam M, and Andrea Rodea. Chocobo Sam isn't all that helpful, but Madam M is more cooperative. She promises to glamorize Aerith if they participate in a fighting tournament. Things start off easy enough, but quickly ramp up in difficulty, culminating in a battle against a killer robot house. Despite the odds, Cloud and Aerith come out on top in the tournament, impressing Andrea Rodea. As agreed, Madam M gives Aerith a big makeover, leaving even Cloud visibly stunned. Cloud still needs a way to get in, so Aerith urges him to visit Rodea for help. Inside the Honeybee Inn, Rodea's nightclub, Rodea asks Cloud to dance with him to see if he's worthy. So Cloud crushes it on the dance floor, and Aerith is loving every second of it. Rodea is so impressed with Cloud's moves that he gives him a full makeover right on the spot, turning Cloud into quite the pretty lady. Wow. With the endorsements from Madam M and Andrea Rodea, Cloud and Aerith are led inside Corneo's mansion. The two are knocked out by gas and wake up in Corneo's dungeon, where Tifa is being held.
Wait a minute. Cloud? Is that you? Oh my god, that makeup! And that dress!
Nailed it, I know, thank you. Moving on.
Tifa explains to Cloud and Aerith that Corneo's men came to the slums asking about Avalanche, so she decided to try and confront him to find out why. The three of them are brought before Corneo, and he's a creepy little weirdo. Despite Cloud's obvious disgust, Corneo picks him to be his bride and takes him to his bedroom, letting his henchmen take Aerith and Tifa as leftovers. Aerith and Tifa beat up the henchmen, then Leslie steps in to give them their weapons and gear, revealing that he's been secretly working against Corneo. The two girls barge into Corneo's bedroom, and Cloud ditches his disguise. Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa threaten Corneo until he divulges Shinra's plan to drop the upper plate on the Sector 7 slums. Shinra wants to stamp out Avalanche, but they will be killing a lot of people in the process. Unfortunately for our trio, they're right above a trapdoor, and Corneo drops them into the sewers. So the team needs to get back to Sector 7 in time to warn everyone about the plate being dropped. They make it out of the sewers and arrive at a train graveyard that happens to be haunted by ghost children. Ooh. By killing the demon that's haunting the grounds, they free the spirits of the children. From a distance, there are signs of battle at the Sector 7 pillar, where Avalanche is locked in a fierce firefight with Shinra forces. On their way to the pillar, the Whispers appear, trying to stop them from moving forward. When Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa get to the base of the pillar, Wedge falls from above. He's alive, but too injured to keep fighting. Cloud fights his way up the pillar and comes across Biggs, who's worse for wear. Biggs urges Cloud to keep fighting for Avalanche, and his words really seem to resonate with Cloud. Meanwhile, Tifa tells Aerith to go to 7th Heaven and take Marlene to safety. Aerith and Wedge help evacuate the town. Aerith finds Marlene inside 7th Heaven and takes her sweet time to have a gentle heart-to-heart session to calm her down.
I'm a friend of Tifa's. Right now, she's with Cloud and the others.
Daddy too?
You mean Barrett? That's why I came to find you. Just remember, safe now. You still have your daddy.
Ma'am, the plate is literally about to fall and kill everyone. Just grab the kid and go. They do eventually begin to leave, but Song, the leader of the Turks himself, shows up to capture Aerith. Aerith agrees to go along with Song, as long as Marlene is taken to safety. Back at the pillar, Tifa joins Cloud to help him fight. Jessie throws a grenade at a Shinra helicopter, and the explosion severely injures her. Cloud and Tifa reach Jessie just in time for her final words, and then she dies.
You owe me a pizza. You owe me a pizza.
Very sad, but the fight must continue. Cloud and Tifa regroup with Barrett at the top. Reno begins the plate separation process, and Root swoops in to back him up. Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett give the Turk duo a good beating. They come close to stopping Rude from confirming the plate separation until the Whispers intervene, protecting him and letting the sequence proceed. With their mission complete, Rude and Reno retreat. There's nothing that can be done to stop the plate from falling. Through a video call, Sung announces that Aerith is in Shinra's custody and reveals that she's an ancient. I'm not sure why he felt the need to share that. They could have kept that to themselves. But anyway, the team really needs to skedaddle. Using a zipline, the trio narrowly escapes as the plate comes crashing down. Consumed by grief at the destruction, Barrett assumes that Marlene didn't make it out alive. But Cloud tells him that Marlene was probably taken to Elmira's house. They do end up finding Marlene safe and sound in Elmira's house, where she's asleep. Elmira knew it was only a matter of time before Shinra came for Aerith. She explains that Aerith is not actually her biological daughter. Elmira found Aerith and her mom at a train station. The two of them had just escaped from a Shinra facility. Aerith's mom was dying, so she pleaded to Elmira to take Aerith somewhere safe. So Elmira adopted Aerith, and it didn't take long for them to become like real family. Aerith showed signs of having mystical powers, being able to connect to the spirits of the dead. Sung once tried to take Aerith when she was a child, but Elmira didn't allow it. To his credit, he never resorted to force. Elmira believes that Aerith is being treated well because of how special she is, so she begs the team to leave her be until Shinra is done with her. Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett head to the ruins of Sector 7, and they discover a secret underground facility where they find an unconscious Wedge. This facility is where Shinra has been using Mako energy to transform people into mindless monsters. Upon seeing the remnants of Shinra's experiments, some of Cloud's memories start to come back, but the Whispers show up and stop the team from investigating any further. The team carries Wedge back to Elmira's house. Cloud insists that Aerith must be rescued, but Elmira still won't let them, fearing that things might get worse if they make an attempt. Later that night, Cloud steps outside and ends up meeting either Tifa, Barrett, or Aerith, depending on the choices the player made earlier in the game. If Barrett is there, he will talk about the other members of Avalanche that Cloud hasn't met yet, promising that he will introduce them later. If it's Tifa, she vents her grief and breaks down over the loss of her home, embracing Cloud while she cries.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Cloud can also encounter Aerith, who used her powers to appear in Cloud's dream. Aerith has a little speech about living life to the fullest and tells Cloud she's grateful for their time together. Weirdly enough, she warns Cloud not to fall in love with her. It's almost like she knows something might happen to her. The next morning, Elmira finally agrees that Aerith must be rescued. The team needs to find a way topside, but the trains aren't running and the stations are under lockdown. It's not their most appealing choice, but they decide to go to Don Corneo for help. Corneo is not at his mansion, but Leslie is, and he agrees to help them reach topside if they help him track down Corneo in the sewers. While traversing the sewers, a monster steals a key from Leslie. Leslie says that they can't proceed without the key, so they pursue the monster and kill it. Turns out that it wasn't a key, it was a necklace that belonged to Leslie's fiancé. Leslie's fiancé was chosen to become one of Don Corneo's brides, and she's disappeared since then. So he wants to find out what happened to his fiancé and get his revenge on Corneo. When they find Corneo, Leslie briefly has him at gunpoint until Corneo grabs the gun and flips the situation. Corneo divulges that Shinra is going to ditch Midgar and build a new, better place. Barrett and Cloud come out of hiding and demand him to elaborate, but Corneo calls in his pet monster and runs away. Not a problem, just a couple slice, slice, punch, punch, pow, 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 and the monster's dead. Corneo is long gone, and while Leslie wants to spend his time tracking him down, Tifa reminds him that his fiancé might still be out there. Once they're out of the sewers, Leslie keeps his word and gives the team grappling guns, which will let them climb over the Sector 7 wall. With renewed hope, Leslie sets off to find his fiancé. So Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett make their way up and through the collapsed plate, and they reach the Shinra building. They ride into a checkpoint on top of a truck, and these bumbling Shinra guards don't bother to look up, almost allowing them to slip in unnoticed. But Barrett and Tifa fall off, ruining their chance at being sneaky, so they charge in guns blazing. Tifa jumps into the reception area and grabs a keycard. The shields around the reception desk go down on their own, indicating that someone's looking out for them. They find out that the research lab Aerith is at is on the 65th floor. There's two options. They can ride the elevator and get ambushed every couple floors, or they can walk their way up to the 59th floor. There's no cutscene. The game literally makes you walk the entire way up.
Cloud, slow down.
On the upper levels, they find themselves at an exhibit showcasing the Shinra company's background and the people who shaped it. An immersive video experience explains how the Ancients were the first people who harnessed Mako energy. The Ancients were believed to be the ones that could lead everyone to the fabled Promised Land, a place with unlimited Mako energy. There's some sort of malfunction, and they see a vision of Midgar being destroyed by a meteor. Unsurprisingly, Sephiroth is involved in this. After the video experience, an unexpected ally comes to greet them. They're led to meet Mayor Domino, an Avalanche insider who's been working in the Shinra corporate archives. It's thanks to him that the team hasn't triggered any alarms while going through the building. Domino upgrades their keycard and gives them the code message, "The Mayor is the best," to help them reach another insider. The team finds Mayor Domino's inside man, who informs them on how they can spy on the Shinra director's meeting. So Cloud and Barret crawl through an air duct to eavesdrop on the meeting. President Shinra rejects the proposal to rebuild Sector 7, choosing instead to direct all their efforts into building Neo Midgar at the Promised Land. Professor Hojo explains that Aerith isn't a pure-blooded ancient, so it's not guaranteed that she can lead them to the Promised Land. Hojo suggests using soldiers to procreate with Aerith to reproduce more ancients for him to study. He also contemplates using psychological torture to ensure Aerith's cooperation. Elmira really thought Aerith was going to be treated well in Shinra's hands, but oh boy, she could not have been more wrong. After the meeting, Cloud, Barret, and Tifa find and intercept Hojo, but he gets the drop on them by unleashing his monstrous test subjects on them. From a secure spot, Hojo starts to explain that Cloud wasn't really a soldier, but he gets taken away by the Whispers. Barret finds Aerith and shoots the containment cell she's in, setting her free. A red wolf-like creature breaks out of containment and goes after Hojo, but he gets away on an elevator. Aerith approaches the creature and puts her hand to his head, healing him and taking away his aggression.
So what the hell is it?
I am that which you see before you, nothing more.
The creature introduces himself as Red 13, and he decides to join the team. Cloud is suddenly stricken by visions again, sensing that Jenova is near, Jenova being an extraterrestrial lifeform that Shinra has been experimenting with. Cloud passes out and wakes up in Aerith's old room. Aerith admits to her teammates that even though she is a descendant of the Ancients, she doesn't have the ability to find the Promised Land. The Whispers appear, and Red 13 recognizes them as arbiters of fate. He explains that the Whispers show up whenever someone tries to alter Destiny's course. Whenever events start to veer away from the original Final Fantasy plot, the Whispers intervene to keep things on track. I'm not kidding, that's really what's happening. Every time the Whispers touch Aerith, she says that she loses a part of herself. She never says it outright, but she seems to remember the original timeline. Anyway, they get a video call from Wedge and Mayor Domino, letting them know that a helicopter will be coming to the roof to rescue them. Continuing through Hojo's lab, they stumble upon Jenova's body, sparking intense memories in Cloud. Sephiroth appears, prompting a brief clash with Cloud before he disappears. As they try to find a way out of the labs, Hojo watches intently as they fight his research specimens. They exit the labs and arrive at Jenova's containment chamber, but Jenova herself is gone. When they get to the president's office, they find President Shinra hanging off the edge of a balcony, pleading for help. Barret pulls him up and demands President Shinra to confess all of his crimes to the public. President Shinra rushes to his desk and grabs a gun, reclaiming a sense of control until Sephiroth appears and impales him through the chest. Sephiroth impales Barret too, but a Whisper shows up and begins to heal him. Sephiroth summons a Jenova Dreamweaver, which Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa engage in battle with. After it's destroyed, the Dreamweaver is revealed to have been summoned using one of the Cloaked Men. Just in case it wasn't clear, Sephiroth has been using the Cloaked Men to serve as his temporary vessels. Barret makes a full recovery from his stab wound, thanks to the Whisper. Using one of the Cloaked Men, Sephiroth takes Jenova's body and jumps off the building, disappearing from the scene. President Shinra's son, Rufus Shinra, makes his entrance, whom Cloud challenges to a one-on-one fight. Rufus is quite the formidable opponent, but he ultimately gets bested by Cloud, and he makes his getaway via helicopter. The helicopter shoots at Cloud, and he almost falls from the ledge, but Tifa shows up just in time to save him. When the team exits the Shinra building, they see a large number of Whispers swarming the structure. Our heroes speed down the expressway until Sephiroth appears at the road's end. Sephiroth walks into a portal that leads to a different realm. Aerith warns that entering the portal to fight the Whispers and Sephiroth would mean defying destiny itself. Everyone readies themselves for the ultimate battle. They step through the portal and find themselves in the world beyond, where they fight against the Whispers while traversing floating rubble and debris. A much larger Whisper, a Whisper Harbinger, can be seen at the center of all the chaos. Once the Whisper Harbinger is defeated, the team has a vision of a meteor destroying the world. Sephiroth shows himself once again, but this time, Cloud and his team finally get to confront him in a proper battle. Sephiroth brings Cloud to the edge of creation and offers him an alliance, but Cloud firmly rejects him. Before Cloud is sent back to the real world, Sephiroth delivers a cryptic warning, 7 seconds till the end, whatever that means. Thanks to the efforts of Cloud and his team, Destiny's course has been altered and the future is no longer predetermined. One major change in fate involves Zack Fair. In the original timeline, Zack was killed while facing off against a Shinra army, but in this timeline, he survived the encounter. This happens before the events of the main game. At some point later, Zack visits the old church in Sector 5, expecting to see Aerith, but the church is filled with refugees and Aerith is nowhere to be seen, greatly disappointing Zack. The people of Sector 7 begin rebuilding their homes, while Rufus Shinra assumes his father's role, stepping in as the new president of the company. Meanwhile, our heroes have left Midgar. They all agree that Sephiroth is the planet's biggest threat, and they commit to stopping him together. The 5 of them walk for some time through the dusty road until a passing trucker picks them up, giving them a ride to a nearby town. Their adventure has only just begun. So that was Final Fantasy VII Remake Condensed. Thanks for watching.